Welcome to another video, very exciting video. So in 2020, Hans was playing in Fall GM Invitational Tournament, and this is the tournament where he got his last Grandmaster norm. For a Grandmaster title you need 3 norms, so at this point Hans already got 2, and now he needed the 3rd norm to get a GM title. And I recently came upon a video where this tournament was discussed, and I'll show you 5 games he won in this tournament, and we'll start by taking a look at his game against Dagupati Balaji, who was rated 23-31 at that point. Hans was rated 24-65. So this game is something else. Alright, black play d3, very common move, you know, basically trying to set up some tricks. Of course this pawn cannot be taken because the knight is being hanging. So Hans plays h3. That's a very sharp and exciting game, guys. And before I show you all that, you can comment in the section below after watching all the games and let me know what you think of this, because you know I was really amazed by the quality of the games, considering that almost all of them were played above 96 accuracy by Hans. Bishop h5, bishop g2, d takes e2. Now of course Hans doesn't want to take because you know he wants to castle at some point. Knight c3, knight d7, d4, e5, g4, e takes d4, knight d4, bishop g6, knight c e2, and at this point Hans has huge development advantage. You know, he managed 2 castles and black will slowly trying to develop, you know, they will get into a lot of troubles. Hans played g5, c5, knight b5, c5 was a mistake, letting this knight go to b5. Now if a6 is played, there is oh, that's actually what was played in the game by first line. Queen f3, bishop e7, knight d6, king f8, knight b7, attacking the queen on d8, queen c7, and simple castle. Now after rook e8, knight f4, bishop f5, rook e1. Of course here the position is slowly collapsing. Look at this king, look at this knight, look at this rook, all the pieces are on the last rank. And this bishop can move because there is a checkmate which is gonna follow. Rook h7, rook d1, just simply, you know, get all the pieces to attack. Rook d5, g6, and now brilliant sacrifice, because after takes g6, it turns out that, you know, white will eventually take and play e6 or queen e6, but after f takes g6, knight g6, king f7, queen e6 is a checkmate. That was the first Hans's win in this tournament. Let's get to the next game that he won against Alexander Ostrovskiy, the organizer of a New York Invitational Norm chess tournaments. So starting from this position, Hans started playing really well. He plays knight h5, you know, trying to get his knight to f4, rook e1, queen f6, knight f1, bishop g4, hitting the knight on f3, knight d2, knight f4, knight f3, bishop goes back to e6. At this point it looked very simple, you know, Hans doesn't have any advantage at all. Takes, knight b3, b6, not letting this knight jump to c5 at any point, h4, a5, b5, and now takes first on a3, rook a3, knight a7, and these knights are real danger for white. So g3 is played, and now Hans plays absolutely insane, brilliant queen h3. He doesn't threaten checkmate on g2, but it just like looks awful for white, because now if takes, knight g2, there is g5, and it turns out that white are in huge trouble, because at some point f3 is gonna follow, some point knight g6, knight f4, and you know, eventually checkmate will follow by itself. So rook a1, and now g5. Not giving this knight away, takes, rook d1, king g7, takes, and now rook h8, and here white simply resigned because they don't have no protection from h1, queen h2. Like, look where it all started, like knight e7, and then, you know, yeah, one slight mistake and boom, queen h3, and, you know, white didn't really have chance to recover as Hans played great moves. Of course, white didn't play best defensive moves, but that didn't even need it, because alright, takes, rook h8, the game is over, and that's the second win of this tournament. Let's get to the next one against Gauri. famous YouTuber right now, but at that time, you know, probably was starting out his career. It was during pandemic, it was in 2020, it was exactly 4 years ago. I think it started in the late September and finished in the, you know, beginning of October. So when this video comes out, yeah, 4 years since the tournament happened. Alright, Hans was playing against Gauri with black. So Hans plays knight a4, hitting pawn on b6, rook c1, queen c1, d4. Hitting this bishop and also, you know, keeping an eye on this. Bishop b7, d takes a3, queen f3, b5, knight c3, bishop b4, queen f3, queen d2, knight d5. Oh, I mean, I'm looking at the position and all the moves are played, you know, with the first line basically. e4, it's stockfish 16 right now. Now queen f4 and position slowly collapses because, you know, black don't really have any chances. Queen f5, now bishop f7 and simply taking even more material, and there is nothing black can do in this position. Bishop c3, rook c1, a3, takes, rook c2, rook e7, rook a2, rook a4, and then bringing the king to the center. So this position is just technical, you know, just simply pushing, and after rook d7, black resign. Third win. And next game against Grandmaster, Stremavicius, Titas, the guy who played for Lithuanian Olympic team just a week ago, and Lithuania had a great tournament, but back then Hans Niemann 2465 was playing against Titas in invitational tournament, rook e8, and from now on white started playing all moves pretty much first line. Bishop f3, knight c3, queen d2, bishop e7, and now absolutely mind-blowing, insane rook a3, threatening this knight. If bishop a3, queen c3, threatening this, and checkmate. So knight d5 was played, bishop d5, again handling this on a3, bishop a3, queen c3, threatening g7 and a3, e5, and now queen f3. Of course not taken, but instead, you know, still making sure to, you know, keep kind of knight protected and also threatening queen f6, queen g7. Rook e6, now knight b8, e4, and now finally can take. Because after bishop d5, knight a6, white remain up a piece and they ended up winning the game pretty quickly. Queen d4, takes, rook d1, and here black resign. And in the last game, Hans needed a win versus Mishra, who is now the youngest Grandmaster of all time, as of right now, as of the moment of recording this video. He was rated 2342. How old was he at that time? Like what, 12 years old only? 2342? Yeah, wait, was he 12? No, because at 12 he became a Grandmaster. Does this mean 11 years old probably? So he was playing against Hans. Hans needed the win to secure a GM norm, his final GM norm. They got to the following endgame. So, and you see this absolutely insane knight on h2, right? And it doesn't look like, alright, king is more active, because this knight is basically making sure that this king is not getting away. And unfortunately for white, you know, if they could manage to get to this h4 pawn, they would eventually take g3 pawn. But unfortunately, you know, they gotta act quickly. But at this point, you know, bishop d1 was the final mistake of the game. And from this point, I mean, black played a great game. Bishop a6, bishop e2, knight d2, king e6. And now king walks all the way to e3 or f4, and then f5, f4, f3. And black win the game. Knight c1, king f5, knight b3, king f4, knight a5, f5, knight c6, f4, b5, f3, and now takes. So Hans needed to calculate all of this in order to win the game. Like, that's mind-blowing. Knight d5, knight h3, knight g6, g2, and basically g2 is what wins the game, because now black can trade the knights, takes, and basically Mishra resigned at this moment. So yeah, guys, the games, of course, were all broadcasted. There were no delays or whatsoever. So you can let me in the comments what do you think about Hans's performance in this tournament. I'm not implying on anything. You know, he played great. After all, he didn't, you know, win 9 of those games. It's only like 5, but yeah, those games were really, really dominating. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's playing, but he played himself right now. I mean, he's now a very, very strong player, but those games just, I mean, some of them just look ridiculous, because yeah, they look really, really good. I mean, after all, Hans is 2700 right now, and he's in top 20, so, but at that point, he was like, what, not 16 years old, yeah, like probably 16, 17 years old. Yeah, and he played great, secured his final gem norm, won the very, very strong tournament. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next episodes, in the next videos. Bye bye.